Happy Sunday, you guys! Welcome back to my YouTube channel, where we talk about anything that I want to. So before I continue to make YouTube videos, I wanted to make sure I had at least one video addressing who I am and where I came from. So this video is going to be all about me. I am in my early 20s and currently I am not working. I am going to school. I'm actually going to two schools right now. I'm studying for my bachelor's in biology and I'm also studying to be a certified personal trainer through NASM. This love for fitness originated really when I began running early in high school. In my freshman and sophomore year of high school, I was actually in marching band. I played the clarinet and then I played the bass drum and I had a great time, no regrets. But in the summer of sophomore to junior year, my brother, who was 13 at the time, he ran his very first marathon, 26.2 miles. And I thought, if he could do it, I could do it, right? So the very next year, I started running. I ran outside of my house. I did about a mile and I came back and my face was red and I was like, oh my gosh, I just ran a mile. Why did I do that? I was so out of shape, but I was just starting off and I really enjoyed it. So the next day I ran another mile and I just continued to do this for about a week until the next week I was able to build up to 2 miles. And then it kind of snowballed from there. And then the week after that, it was about 3. Eventually I found myself doing this cycle of like 1 mile, 2 mile, 3 mile, and then kind of restarting that. I remember my longest distance at one point was 7 miles and I just thought it was so far and it took so long and I was so tired at the end of it, but all of my training I did right outside of my house. A lot of it was on flat ground with just a half mile out, half mile back stretch that I would run over and over again. Looking back, I would not do that again, but it worked at the time. So that year, 2016, I properly trained for my first marathon. I ran it with my dad and my brother, and it was not the fastest, but it was actually a really respectable time. It was about 4 hours and 10 minutes, I believe. And after that race, I realized I really liked running. So going into junior year of high school, decided I wanted to continue running instead of doing marching band. So I joined cross country and did that for about 2 years until I graduated. I was not the fastest. I think my best time was like 21 minutes and 20 seconds, something like that for a 5K. But I noticed that I really excelled when we did the group runs that were like 6 miles. Like I was in the front of the pack and I was feeling great. But whenever we would do the sprint workouts, like on the track and stuff, I was always in the back. I just didn't try. And it was because I didn't like it. Like if I'm not passionate about something, I'm not gonna wanna continue doing it. But I had a great time in cross country with my high school. So when I started to go to community college, I enrolled in their cross country team as well. And I did that for about a year. During that time, I realized I didn't know as much as I thought I did about running. I was constantly getting injured. I had terrible form. I wasn't the fastest again. I was definitely like back of the pack. During that season, I got injured like 3 or 4 times. I did not take enough rest periods in between, so that was probably why I kept getting injured. So I learned a lot about myself and a lot about running. One of those things was that I just did not like running fast. Again, during the training with this cross-country team, I was always the front of the pack for those long, like we did 10-mile runs sometimes, and I just loved them. But whenever we would do sprint work, I just fell behind and I just could not keep up. So later within that year, I decided to get into ultra running. And I was introduced to this by a friend of mine who I knew really well. And they brought me to a run club that had all these people that were so enthusiastic about running and running really far. And me coming from like half marathons and a marathon being my furthest distance, I was like, ultras? What? Who does that? And I just remember thinking that that was so badass that they could run for 50 miles and not stop. I thought that was so cool. So of course I wanted to do one. One of my friends convinced me to sign up for a 50-miler. When you sign up for an ultra race, it's a little different because you have to not think about it too much. You open the ultrasignup.com webpage and you go on there and you click sign up. And I didn't think about it, I just went click and it was done. And then I looked at it and I was like, oh, I just did that. Guess I'm running 50 miles. So that began a whole new learning curve about what I need for a race like that, nutrition-wise, gear-wise, and I met so many cool people, like so many cool people. So I ran that race, I had some hiccups here and there, but overall it was a really good race and I had a great time. I finished it. So that's saying something. But then once COVID hit about the beginning of 2020, a lot of the races weren't happening and there wasn't much for me to train for. I just kind of felt useless with what I could do, and it kind of brought my attention to other areas that I could improve. One of those areas, not having enough upper body strength to do like very common movements like a push-up or a pull-up. When I first started lifting weights, I decided to lay out 4 distinct goals, movement-based, that I wanted to achieve. The first one was the push-up, next was the pull-up, which I have never been able to do, and then there was the handstand, and then I thought the coolest thing was a handstand push-up. I thought that was just so badass. But I would see all these like influencers on Instagram and then like all over different social medias, and they were just like, okay, the first thing to start this workout, 10 push-ups, crank them out. And I was like, I can't even do step 1. So like I need to be able to get where I can add those to my workouts. It was very hard for me to picture myself doing those things because I had never done them in my life. I knew I could do it if I set my mind to it. I just had to work hard, of course. And so during these next couple months of being isolated and not really seeing anyone, I decided to focus on myself and see what I could do. So I gathered all of the equipment that I had in my house, which I think was like a resistance band, maybe some like 8-pound dumbbells. There were like 5-pound dumbbells. That was about all I had, and I put it all in the backyard. I was like, okay, this is gonna be my space. This is where I'm gonna do this. Because I didn't have a lot of weights and equipment, I decided to try to do a lot of body weight movements in the beginning. I had a very weak core, so improving that was imperative. I had really strong legs, so I didn't feel like I needed to do too many like leg exercises. So I felt like I was pretty good in that department, but my upper body was just lacking. So I would be curling the 8-pound, I would be doing bench press with my little dumbbells. Eventually my dad helped me out, and he went to Lowe's and bought this pipe, and he put wooden planks at the end of the pipe so I could do like a little bench press action. It's like the first piece of equipment that I really had, if you call it equipment, but you were able to stack on weight with that thing, and it was so helpful for me. Luckily, I also had friends who donated some equipment to me. One of my neighbors gave me a 45-pound kettlebell, and then I had another neighbor give me a 20-pound dumbbell and then some resistance bands, and I even eventually got 2 25 dumbbells from a friend. So that was like my little home gym that I had, all my little equipment. And I'll be in the backyard just doing my curls, doing my push-ups, just trying to get strong. I would put in my awesome music in my headphones. I would just feel like a badass. I enjoyed it every single day. I had a blast. And I don't remember exactly what time of year it was last year, but I remember the day that I could do a full push-up. Just one, but I could do a full push-up without any assistance, and I felt like the king of the world. But seriously, it was the greatest feeling ever, and just looking back, it was definitely a milestone for me to achieve. As soon as I could do a push-up, I realized that I was making progress and that I might actually be able to do a pull-up. So I bought a pull-up bar that day. I bought one for my room, and I was so excited when it came because I was like, I'm gonna get so strong so quick. And then I realized as I hang from my pull-up bar, it's gonna take a lot more time than I thought. So I went to YouTube and I looked up how to do a pull-up, how to get stronger to do a pull-up. I would watch all the videos that I could. They were very short, so it wasn't that much of a commitment, but I would watch a lot of videos and everyone was saying the same thing. You have to do progression. You do dead hangs, you do negatives where you start from the top and you just lower yourself to the bottom. And then you could also get resistance bands, which are longer than the ones that I had, so I needed to buy new ones. As soon as the resistance bands came, I was like, I'm gonna get so strong so quick. And then I would hang from my bar and I would be like, well, still couldn't do one. But that just proves it's all about the process. You gotta be patient. So I decided to make a goal for myself to work on my pull-ups every single day. I had read all over the internet and on YouTube, they were saying if you work on them a little bit every single day, like 5 to 10 minutes every single day, you will eventually be able to do a pull-up. So I was like, okay, that's all I need to do. I can dedicate 5 minutes of my day. I will be able to do a pull-up very soon. There were some days that I just did not want to do my pull-up workouts, even though it was like 10 minutes long. It was just like my hands were getting calloused, my arms were sore because I was doing other workouts too. It was very hard to stay dedicated to that. But as soon as my brother installed a official pull-up bar into our little garage, I noticed an increase in strength. And it came out of nowhere. All the hard work I had been doing wasn't really showing, it wasn't evident in my workouts until then. And I can proudly announce that as of 2 days ago, I did my very first pull-up. And it wasn't pretty, but I did it. That goes to show you that if I did it, you can do it. That was super validating. It means that everything I had been doing was actually working and I was getting stronger and I was able to check off another one of my 4 goals. So now I'm moving on to the handstand, which I have enough upper body strength to do. It's just the balance I think is gonna be tricky, but we're gonna try them out today and see where I am in the beginning, and then we're just gonna get better from there. The last thing I wanted to talk about is my goals for the future. As we all know, quarantine has been pretty rough on all of us. It's definitely made us rethink what the future is gonna be like. My future has changed dramatically, at least from what I can see in my head. I've never been the person to be able to say, this is where I'm gonna be in 5 years and know exactly what that is. But I think quarantine ending is going to be a big milestone and kind of a landmark for the next chapter of my life. I've been living at home all my life, so I think when I'm finally able to go out and live life as normally, or semi-normally, then I'm definitely going to use that opportunity to break out of my shell and get uncomfortable, do things I don't really want to do, but that I know I should do. And in the end, it'll be exciting and it'll be fun and it'll be the right thing. I also cannot wait to get to a gym and get some real weights going on, get some gains. And once the races start happening again, I hope to be able to complete my first 100-miler by the end of the year. That will take a lot of dedication and a lot of training, as I already know. But the future is unknown and anything can happen, so I'm keeping my mind open, just hoping for the best. And I know there are good things coming. And that's the end of my video, you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at nikki.bright. See you next Sunday.